In 1937, a cartographer named Emil Voss drew a map of a coastline that didn't exist. Not a mistake, not a fantasy, a precise, measured, technically accurate map, depth markings, tidal notations, a scale that matched real geography down to the kilometer. The problem was simple. No one had ever been there. No ship has charted it. No survey had recorded it. The coastline Emil Voss drew in 1937 was sitting at the bottom of the Arctic Ocean, under 200 feet of ice. It stayed there for 82 years, until the ice started melting. But who was this man? And how did he know? The answer is not what you would expect. Emil Voss was not a famous man. He worked for a small cartographic institute in Leipzig from 1911 until his death in October 1937. His job was to compile and correct existing maps. Other people's work, cleaned and printed. By every account, meticulous, obsessive, some said, the kind of man who redrew a coastline 17 times until the curve was right. He never led an expedition. He never sailed north. His personnel file listed no Arctic experience, no polar training, no connections to any northern survey. He died at his drafting table. The map was found among his personal effects, not in the Institute's archives, not filled with any commission, rolled inside a leather tube in the bottom drawer of his desk, tied with a cord, unlabeled. His colleague Brandt assumed it was a practice rendering. He almost threw it away. He didn't. The map went into archive storage in what would become East Germany. It sat there for 61 years, catalogued, unread, one entry among thousands. 61 years until one Tuesday afternoon, someone found it. And she was not looking for anything unusual. In 1998, a doctoral student named Katrin Haas was cataloging pre-war German cartography. She wasn't looking for anything unusual. She found the Voss map on a Tuesday afternoon. Her first instinct, forgery. The precision was too clean. The depth markings followed no convention she recognized from the 1930s. The notation system had elements she couldn't place. She photographed it, noted it in her bibliography, and moved on. She thought about it for years. In 2019, Katrin, now a senior researcher in Berlin, was following Arctic ice retreat news. Satellite imagery was revealing stretches seabed never exposed in recorded history. New coastlines, new geography. She pulled up one image, a newly exposed stretch along the northern ice shelf edge. She stared at it for a long time. Then she pulled out the photograph from 1998. The curve of the coastline was identical. Not similar, not approximate, identical. The depth markings Voss noted in 1937 matched the satellite bathymetric data from 2019. The tidal notation corresponded to current measurements. The scale, overlaid on modern imagery, was accurate to within 300 meters across 40 kilometers of coastline. Emil Voss had mapped the coastline that wouldn't exist for another 82 years. So they did what any serious researcher would do. They tried to prove it wrong. 3 analysts, none of them knew about the others. Katrin published her findings in 2021. The paper was read, it was cited, and then it became one of those things serious people acknowledged privately and declined to discuss publicly. Because there was no explanation that fit. Could Voss have seen an earlier map of some lost Arctic survey? Researchers checked every known polar expedition up to 1937. Nothing matched. Could the map be a forgery, produced after 2019 and backdated? The paper, ink, cord, and leather tube were all tested. Dating placed them firmly in the 1930s. Ink oxidation consistent with 60 plus years of archival storage. Could the match be coincidence? 3 independent GIS analysts, blind to each other's results, returned the same conclusion. No prior survey, authentic materials, precise match. Emil Voss drew a map of a coastline buried under Arctic ice and drew it correctly. No one knows how, but Catherine found one detail, something she didn't put in the abstract. In his last 2 years, Voss almost stopped working. Almost. The record shows this clearly. In the last 18 months of his life, Voss worked exclusively at night. Colleagues noted a change in early 1936. Withdrawn, stopped attending lunches, requested weekend archive access. One internal memo described him as distracted in a way that seemed purposeful. He produced almost no documented work in his final 2 years, for a man with 2 decades of consistent output. The gap is significant. What he produced was the map, and there's one detail Catherine noted that didn't make the abstract. In the lower right corner, in the same hand as everything else, Voss had written 4 words in German. 4 words in his own handwriting. Ich weiß nicht warum. I don't know why. He knew the map was real. He just didn't know why he could draw it. Whatever Emil Voss saw, or dreamt, or understood in a way he couldn't name, he put it on paper with the precision of a man who had spent his life making other people's maps accurate. This one was his 82 years early, because this was never just about a map. It was about a pattern where reality doesn't always start where we think it does. And sometimes, the first version of the word is drawn before the word itself exists. And if one man could draw the future without knowing it, then the question isn't what he saw, it's how many others have seen it and stayed silent, somewhere between archives, photographs, and forgotten records. There are more cases like this, not stories, not theories. Records that shouldn't align, but do. This is where Shadow Tales begins. Not every truth leaves evidence. Some of it leave patterns, and once you notice them, you cannot unsee them. The question is simple. Are you going to ignore them or follow them? Because the next one is already waiting.